Hello everyone, and welcome to another day of a very vicious Halloweek. We're jumping right into this look with priming my eyebrows and filling them in with my brow pencil, going a little bit heavier with the product so they would look fuller. I concealed around my brows using a light hand so that I didn't get the halo brow effect. Moving on to the eyes, I primed my lids, and from my brow to my crease, added some concealer and blended that out with a beauty sponge. I set that with a translucent powder, then went over it with a light brown shadow to help with blending the transition area. I started with a fluffy brush and with a deep red matte shadow, focused that above my crease. I'm going for a blown out rounded shape for this look. To get more color payoff, I'm patting the shadow on first, then swiping to blend it. After that, I go back in with the light brown shade to blend out the edges. I go in with a pointed dome brush next, and with a darker red, almost purple shade, I focus it slightly above my crease, trying to add definition to the area. I also deepen the outer third of my eye with this shadow, making sure to go over my natural crease because I have hooded eyes. Now I'm using a light base on a flat brush to make a cut crease. I put a dot of the base onto my lid and then looked up so that it would give me an idea of how far to spread the base. This works well if you have hooded lids because it shows how far to draw the area over your natural crease so you still get the cut crease effect. Once that's set, I used a red shimmer shade on my finger to pat it onto this area. I kept it mostly concentrated on the mobile lid and blended it out near the edges. I'm going in with a small pencil brush after that and using the same dark shade from before to define the edges of the crease. I go in with a dome brush with the same color to define the outer corner. I then went into a matte black shadow and focused that only in the outer V of my eye. Back to the lids, I used a brighter red shimmer shade on my finger to add some dimension to the eye. I then used a golden shimmer shadow to add a sheen over that, then used a golden pigment to highlight the very center of the lids. For my lashes, I used a black gel liner to get close to the base and smudged it slightly into the outer V. We're not doing a wing this time, so the liner was just to add some darkness and definition. For the face, I wiped up any fallout that I had, then went in with a matte primer. I focused it mostly in the areas that I have visible pores and blended it lightly over the rest of my face. I used an orange corrector for some of my dark spots, blending it with a small brush and then setting it with a translucent powder so it didn't bleed through my foundation. I went in with my foundation on a sponge, then blended it with a brush to get a nicer finish. I used one of my lighter shades to make me look paler, and I concealed heavier than I normally would to make some of my features look more prominent, like having higher cheekbones or a more defined jawline. I set the highlighted areas with a powder that was pretty light to help intensify those areas. I let it set for a while, then dusted it off using a powder that fit my entire face, blending away the highlight powder. I then went over my whole face with a facial mist to help take away some of the ashiness from the powder. I did a powder contour, going in heavier than I normally would to make my features look more sunken in, and after doing a few more touches to the face, I went back to the eyes. I used the same matte red first, blending it a bit lower than the other shades on the bottom of the eye. I used the darker red closer to my lashes, only going in about halfway and connecting it at the outer V. Then using a black eye pencil, On the bottom waterline, I smudged it out somewhat before setting it with a matte black shadow. For the inner corner, I added the red shimmer shadow, bringing it down slightly, and I spread the golden shade out on a small concealer brush. On top, I used the golden pigment, patting that on with a cotton swab to get the most shine. I also added a bit more to the center of my lids. For the final touch on the eyes, I used a red shifting eyeshadow in my inner corner and brow highlight. I used the gold pigment and the red shifting shadow for my face highlight, then went on to the lips. I lined them with a brown pencil, mostly to give me an idea of how I wanted to shape them, then went in with 2 liquid matte lipsticks. I used a darker one around the edges, then in the very center I used a brighter red, making them look a bit more plump. I topped that off with tapping some of the gold pigment onto my lips, and there's the final look.
Inside their feelings like they want some, but I don't really think they want none. I'ma make them drop in a song from.
It wouldn't have been a Halloweek without adding one of the original spoopy creatures, so I hope you like this look. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next video of the series. Bye-bye.